Hey guys, today I'll be actually discussing an episode from SpongeBob SquarePants. If you don't know this episode is from season 9 and it's called Little Yellow Book. It's one of the worst episodes in the SpongeBob series, but again, if you like this episode, I can handle your opinion. This is like one of the worst episodes of season 9 ever. When I watched it on YouTube, I saw Squidward reading SpongeBob's diary, and the whole Krusty Krab citizens gathered to read what SpongeBob had wrote on his diary, including Patrick's. Like I was seriously made. Why would Squidward do that? This is wrong, So it actually starts at the Krusty Krab when the business is slow. When Squidward had decided to rest, SpongeBob apparently finds himself in a barrel, writing on his diary, but asks him to get back to work. But then SpongeBob snatches away from him and puts him between two fine baskets. When SpongeBob takes a break, Squidward finds the book in the barrel again. He finds out that the book is actually a diary and reads it to everyone in the Krusty Krab. It reveals the sensitive information about SpongeBob. SpongeBob becomes humiliated and just runs out of the Krusty Krab crying. I cannot believe Squidward would just do such a thing to that poor sponge. Why would he read SpongeBob's diary? This is considered invading someone's book without permission, or it's considered wrong, You should never ever invade someone's diary like that. That's wrong. Even everyone releases about SpongeBob's diary. They get very angry and disgusted by Squidward's actions, but they leave. Mr. Krabs apparently tells Squidward to apologize to SpongeBob, but he was too careless to feel remorse over the harassment of SpongeBob. SpongeBob cries, he just cries because of what he did to SpongeBob as well. As when Squidward runs away, he's been ridiculed and alone by the Bikini Bottom citizens for reading SpongeBob's diary. When he gets to his house, his loan was taken away because of him reading SpongeBob's diary, and he deserves it for his harassment towards SpongeBob. When this house privilege is being revoked, his luck finally runs out and Squidward becomes homeless. Two police officers arrive and tell him that he cannot sleep at the bench until they recognize him at the stone. Patrick throws tomatoes at him, but Patrick apparently berates SpongeBob for reading his best friend's diary. It leaves him in anger. Before throwing another tomato away at Squidward for revenge, SpongeBob comes to Squidward and immediately apologizes to SpongeBob that because everyone was amused with it got published as a bestseller. But when he reads the work diary, which is not a secret person diary, that his opinion would have become more embarrassing. But then, Squidward reads SpongeBob's diary once again, and he didn't know. SpongeBob cries in humiliation and runs away. When the episode ends with SpongeBob crying and Squidward being thrown by tomatoes, Squidward doesn't even care about his coincidence. The meaning that it was actually worth it. Okay, so basically Squidward apparently did read SpongeBob's diary. Alright, this is apparently follows that Squidward reads that SpongeBob clucks like a chicken. Making SpongeBob sees Mr. Krab paid enough, he actually takes off his clothes and dances, embarrassing himself. SpongeBob apparently cries in this episode, It's actually similar to the episode Fools in April when Squidward actually humiliates SpongeBob, and then the citizens of Bikini Bottom gets mad at him. But Squidward actually felt remorse reading SpongeBob's diary, even though he's faking remorse that SpongeBob had to forgive him. As well as this is the third episode where SpongeBob actually gets humiliated by Squidward and the Krusty Krab customers. The first one was in Fools in April and the second one was Grandma's Kisses. He also got embarrassed at the Krusty Krab by Mr. Krabs when it was the Bikini Bottom goes and pranks salon. Okay. Now this is actually like the worst episode yet ever. But again, if you like this episode, you know the drill. Okay? I'll just say that this episode is actually the worst. This episode's the worst. It was actually because SpongeBob was being a cruel and unforgivable jerk. It's actually because Squidward apparently does all these things that he could ever done. He was being a cruel mate to SpongeBob. The Bikini Bottom citizens was acting like hypocrites. Patrick was being a jerk to his best friend SpongeBob. It was actually because SpongeBob didn't want to cry, but then he made him cry. Yes, yet he made SpongeBob cry on purpose. There was also a thing that SpongeBob would have just deal with it, like SpongeBob would have just deal with it. Okay, again, the Bikini Bottom people had then learned their lesson that it's not okay to get involved in Squidward's things, it's like not involved. It's not okay to do that, The Bikini Bottom people are definitely acting like hypocrites in my opinion. There's apparently the reason why the Bikini Bottom people did act like hypocrites is because they were the ones who were involved and read SpongeBob's diary as a purpose, like that. I got into the fact that I was very angry with that episode, like what could have been better is that SpongeBob could have told Mr. Krabs to keep his diary away from Squidward. Otherwise, he would have just like stopped crying, he would have just stopped crying, just say it's like seriously bad, But just say in my opinion that SpongeBob did cry in these episodes, like SpongeBob did cry, okay? I know you guys have been wondering why SpongeBob cries, but SpongeBob is actually an emotional sponge, even though he's a happy-go-lucky adult sponge that loves his customers and his job. But why would Squidward even do a thing like that? I mean, reading someone's diary is one thing. The other thing you must know is that reading someone's diary is considered rude and disrespectful. You know what I seriously mean. Also, I forgot to mention that Squidward was actually acting like a heartless jerk, Squidward should be punished for all this, Every time when Squidward does something bad to SpongeBob, this makes me feel really upset to think, why would this poor sponge deserve this? But I'm really sorry for all this, what Squidward had actually caused. Squidward caused all this to make SpongeBob cry, just because of his diary, like that. Squidward should know that reading someone's diary is invading these things, seriously. SpongeBob just saw the diary and he was shocked. He ran out crying in his underwear. But seriously me, why? Just why? Squidward is like the most greediest character ever, even though he's like SpongeBob's neighbor. But it's definitely atrocious, I can describe a word for this episode for the SpongeBob series. The Little Yellow Book. This is seriously one of the worst episodes, And what's even embarrassing is that the news actually got involved, they got involved with Squidward's thing, when Squidward just handed out the newspaper, he just knew that SpongeBob was actually devastated because there was actually about him reading the diary, I couldn't believe my eyes, and I couldn't believe what I just saw, This episode is seriously the worst. It's seriously atrocious. No one should even read a diary before. That is considered rude and disrespectful. This is considered one of the worst things ever, Imagine if someone just read your diary like that. Imagine if someone had read your diary and then it made you cry. How would someone even feel about this? They would even feel sad. Is Squidward really that bad, I'll just say Squidward isn't that bad, but when he reads SpongeBob's diary, this is considered rude, This is seriously one of the worst things that Squidward would have ever done, All the Bikini Bottom people had realized that it was wrong for them to join in Squidward's conversation of reading the diary. You know what I seriously mean? SpongeBob wasn't even looking when Squidward apparently tries to apologize to SpongeBob, like that. Right in behind, Squidward actually did read SpongeBob's diary. And then it made him cry, say, Squidward, how could you? And then SpongeBob runs away crying in tears. The Bikini Bottom people have threw tomatoes on him, Okay, But seriously, this episode's like the worst, you know? Like 100% worse than the ones I actually saw, which is SpongeBob You're Fired and Fools in April. These are one of the worst episodes I would ever watch. Imagine if I watch this again. This episode is going on my worst SpongeBob list, you know? I'll just say that, yes, SpongeBob is a good show, but why do they even have all the bad episodes in my opinion? Well, because of the animated atrocities, they would decide to just say which is the baddest episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, you know? I'm just getting really upset and ticked off, you know? Like, there are some worse and bad episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants, but even though, yes, Little Yellow Book was actually one of the worst episodes from season 9, and you know what I really mean. Again, if you like this episode, I can handle your opinion, okay? Anyways, guys, that's all for now, and this is me signing off. Sorry.